You know, one thing that really pisses me off? Doctors that don't speak English.
Hello.
Heat wave in Europe and it's just getting started. How you doing, guys? My name is Daniel, and the reason why you clicked on this video is maybe because you like to find out what it is to be an interpreter. I've been doing interpreting for about a year, and while I had previous jobs in the past, this is the only one that I can get at the moment. So yeah, let's get into it. Careful that the job is interpreting, not translating, something that gets confused a lot in the industry, if you would have it. I'm not going to show you exactly how much I make, mainly because I guess I'm self-conscious and embarrassed, probably shy to show you the entire month. But I do make roughly around minimum wage, a little bit above minimum wage. And it also depends on the country you're in. In my country, it's a little bit above minimum wage. For you, it definitely might be different, especially if you come from a country with a more powerful economy. Interpreting might just not get you to minimum wage. Also depends from company to company. Some companies are willing to pay just a little bit more, but if you Google it and you do your homework, you will see that interpreting in general as a job is a very badly paid source of, you know what I'm saying. So why interpreting if it pays so bad? Well, I have been applying on LinkedIn to a lot of jobs, and I haven't been getting any response. Been to a couple of interviews, but nothing really caught on. So back a year ago, I was kind of desperate, and I got a job as an interpreter. It was very easy to get the job. Maybe I got lucky, maybe the position was open, but at least for the company that I'm working with, I feel like the position is open pretty much all the time. I might be wrong. Who knows how many people have jumped in, but I felt like the interview itself and the way to start being an interpreter was roughly very easy. So yeah, the availability, that's why I'm doing interpreting, because I can't get at the moment anything else. Second of all, well, you are a digital nomad, which is kind of cool nowadays. You can work for anywhere across the globe, no VPN required, as long as you have a stable internet connection. So the fourth would be I work from home, because obviously if you're a digital nomad, I guess you can work from anywhere, obviously working from home. I heard about interpreting jobs that require you to go to the office. I do know that in the UK, this company does have offices and some people do go to the office. I'm not based in the UK, so it's work from home for me. Work from home can have its advantages and disadvantages, but then again, working in general has its disadvantages, right? I mean, we all want to be rich and not work. Lastly, probably the hours. I stay available on demand calls about 9 hours a day, 5 days a week. I don't do weekends. And out of the availability of 9 hours per day, I basically talk on the phone for about 5 hours, sometimes less than 5 hours. Not because I wouldn't want to talk more, but I do take breaks, lunch breaks. I might leave the house, and sometimes I even take naps. It depends. Yeah, sometimes I'll just power through a nap, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, perhaps even an hour, and then I'll get back to it again. There is no such thing as a fixed schedule. So you are your own boss. No one can tell you exactly when to take those calls and when you don't take those calls. At least this is how it is for this company, but I'm assuming it's the same for other companies as well. If I would to work a little bit harder just so I can make more money and basically hit that upper marge above minimum wage, I would have to be available about 12 hours a day. And roughly, I would probably have to speak about 8 hours a day. So be available 12 hours, speak 8 hours a day. That would definitely take its toll, because honestly, talking 5 hours a day, it can be demanding. But if you're going to do 8 hours of interpreting literally every single day, 5 days a week, that would be a bit too much. And the way I calculate it, I would probably make no more than 20% more than I make now. 10%, 50%, no more than 20%. So basically, I would be overworked. I would be tired a lot. I don't think I could be doing this long term. And the salary would not go above 15 to 20%. I don't find that ideally. I guess I'm a bit more lazy. So 9 hours a day of availability with 5 hours of talk time, it's sort of like my sweet spot. I mentioned digital nomad. Yeah, not really. I mean, digital nomads, I guess, are people in higher up management who get paid a lot of money, or people that code but like do higher level coding with a good contract. I actually have a friend of mine, I don't know if he's going to be watching this video. He's also a coder and doesn't make that much money, even though he has roughly around 15 years of experience. It's all about where you are based, and yeah, digital nomad, but as an interpreter, considering you get paid very little money, I don't think you can actually rent a place in Bali and work from Bali the way a lot of digital nomads do, right? I don't think you can get rent in Paris the way we see these vlogs of people working from home remotely and also living their best life. You're not really a digital nomad if you're doing interpreting. The technical part of it. Well, each company probably has a different type of interface for their clients, but my company has a web-based interface and a phone-based interface. It's very jank and very buggy, both the web interfaces and the phone. I mainly just use the phone because if you use both, at least in my case, it's not a good idea. I would have loved to use just the web-based interface on the computer, but that's not happening. I tried that. Is basically a pair of headsets connected to my phone, the one that I'm recording on right now, because I only have one phone. And that's how you use it. You enter the app, you put yourself available both for voice calls and for video calls. And that's it. That's all you need. I also use my computer because I have Google Translate open. You can probably use anything you want. And sometimes I also use postcodes. I Google for postcodes because it's necessary, right? And I also take notes. You must take notes if you're working as an interpreter. You cannot take those notes, at least not easily on your phone, obviously. So I type a lot on my keyboard because during the entire dialogue, the entire call, I will take notes fully. Sometimes you need to get back to previous ideas that were discussed, and you need to know exactly what was discussed so you don't lose track of the entire thing. So I do use a computer, but just for taking notes, and sometimes quite a lot actually. I find myself Googling words that maybe I don't find in my head the meaning or the translation immediately, and that helps a ton. I mentioned that you have two types of calls. Well, there's also like the third type of call, and that would be the scheduled call. The scheduled calls are always video calls. Now, video calls pay the best. If I could just take video calls, I would probably double my salary, which would be nice. The jank part of it all is that if you are available for audio calls, which are the most amount, when you are in an audio call, like, you're going to miss out on the video calls because you're an audio call. And I haven't found a workaround around that situation. The only way is to sort of get good at your job and kind of identify maybe when video calls come in. And for me, most video calls will come in roughly around after 4 p.m. But it depends, obviously, on a time zone, on a country you are in. And what I do, I just put myself available for video calls and uncheck the audio ones. Yeah, it's a gamble, but it's the only way that I can actually get video calls for sure. I will probably wait no more than an hour before I get a video call. So that means that within that hour, I'm no longer taking audio calls, which is fine because you can cook in the kitchen while you wait for your video call. You can do something light around the house, like vacuum or clean or whatever. And once you get the video call, you have to immediately accept it, right? So you got to be kind of fast. The scheduled calls are almost impossible to get. I've only gotten one scheduled call in 1 year. That's not ideally at all. And that call actually got canceled. The calls with this company that I'm in, if they get canceled, you still get paid 50% of the entire call duration. Scheduled calls, you will know exactly how long they are, how long they're going to take, and what is the subject that will be discussed. So you can do your homework and you will know exactly how to prepare yourself. In my case, it was a no-show, and I still got 50% of that, whatever it would have paid me. But they're almost impossible to get scheduled calls. I get notifications about scheduled calls about 4, 5, 7 times a day. Each day I would probably get no more than 7 notifications that, hey, you have a scheduled call. Would you like to accept it? Sure enough, there's an issue with the platform, or God knows what it is. Maybe there's too many agents at the same time available. I don't know. But when I click on yes, I would like to accept this, it almost gives me an error message or a message saying that someone else has already accepted this work. And because like I'm in front of my computer and I'm in front of my phone and I click accept within 1.5 seconds, 1 second, maybe 2 seconds, it's almost impossible that every single time someone else accepts that job. So I'm guessing this is a bug with the platform. I have reached out to the technical department, but they don't care. Like, they really don't care. That time that I got that scheduled call, I must have gotten lucky or something. I don't know. Also, video calls get dropped a lot. Audio calls get dropped a lot as well, but there's so many audio calls that it doesn't really matter. But you will accept a video call and it will get dropped. It just kicks you out and it says that you have a missed call. Even though you didn't miss it, you clicked accept. Yeah, it's just bugs with the platform. I also try to do some troubleshooting on that, and I raised it up with the technical team. Again, they don't care. I'm assuming that other companies maybe have better platforms or better apps. I don't know. But the company that I'm with, pretty jank, actually. Scheduled calls pay the most amount. They're about, I don't know, maybe half more, so 150% more than a video call. And that's pretty cool. If you could get scheduled calls with video calls at the end of the month, I'm assuming your salary would be quite big. But my salary is mostly based 80%, 85% out of audio calls, which is not ideally, and the rest would be a couple of video calls. I probably get a video call a day. Like I will do each day a video call, but only because I put myself unavailable for audio. I'm smart like that. Even though I don't know if I'm that smart, because sometimes you're wasting time waiting for that video call when you could be taking audio calls. But that's just how it is with this company, right? You can't accept both. Like if you're on an audio call, you cannot accept the video because you're already doing the audio, right? And that's just how that is. Right. Let's get to actual examples of what I do on a daily basis. I work with United Kingdom, and I work with sort of government branches of the United Kingdom. That would be police, NHS, which is their national health whatever system. And I also get a work and pension department, including / universal credit, which sometimes the work and pension department, not sometimes, all the times, they're kind of like, together. So the work and pension department is basically people who are not working, or they're trying to find a job, they're between jobs, something is happening, and universal credit, it's linked to that area, right? I get roughly around 10% or maybe even more police phone calls. I get 50% work and pension department with universal credit, right? And the rest of 40% will probably be NHS, just doctor stuff, doctor appointments, GPs, general practitioners. I did get emergency rooms as well. I get ER, emergency, I get emergency rooms as well. All sorts of things. One thing that should be mentioned is that you don't get in this job, at least it's not even about this company. I don't know if any company pays, maybe, but I'm not sure. You don't get any bonuses for particular calls for stress, because some of those calls can be stressful and can deteriorate your mental health. I've been doing this, like I said, for about a year. My mental health is fine because I'm an asshole and I don't care. But if you are a bit squeamish and if you're a bit sensitive, a bit more sensitive, it might be difficult for you, and I don't know if you can do this long term. Police calls. Well, practically I get bad guys on the phone. All right, not all of them are super criminals. They're not all Lex Luthor. They're not trying to whatever. But you do get sexual assaults. And you need to interpret for the victim that got sexually assaulted. That is not an easy call. It's actually a bit stomach churning. I got a woman once who got raped by her own father. And it happened multiple occasions. Actually, she was abused for about a year, maybe even more. And now her boyfriend basically said that we need to do something about this. They were able to get a rent somewhere else, away from her father. And now they were basically calling the cops to tell them about the entire situation. I didn't get the first call. I sort of got it along the way when they already had an open case. And now a female officer showed up at their house to make more investigations. And the call was about more than 1 hour long, in which I had to interpret the things that the father was doing to this woman. She got emotional. She wasn't crying, but her voice was kind of very emotional, and I had to deal with that. There are multiple cases just like that. Another case with the police, there was this guy who basically was kind of harassing his ex-partner, and I was interpreting for the woman who was getting harassed. This lady who had 2 children with this guy, they were divorced, but he was stalking her, doing bad things to her, broke in their apartment once, did a bunch of stuff, and now the police was looking for him, but they had to again ask her a bunch of questions, this and that, a very long call, and I had to sit through it and interpret and hear exactly what this asshole was doing to this woman. Not an easy call at all. Right, moving on to not easy calls. NHS, right? Medical calls. Sometimes I get calls involving patients that are terminally ill, which means they have cancer and they don't have a long time to live. One emotional call was from this elderly gentleman who, by the end of the call, actually apologized to me, which I found emotional, to say the least, saying that, hey man, I'm sorry you had to sit through this and hear about the fact that this old man, which was him, is dying. I hope I didn't ruin your day. He was sincere in his words and he was apologizing to me, and it felt bad. I was like, I didn't even know what to say. I was like, yeah, don't worry about it, but the guy was dying, so he wasn't sarcastic either. He was actually apologizing to me because I had to sit through that conversation. This other time, this woman that knew she had cancer, but they were kind of treating her. The entire family was there as well, right? So, her daughter with the husband, with whatever. And the doctor had to call the entire family in to give them the news and also give her the news that there's nothing else more that they can do. They have to take her home and make her life as easy as possible. And while the family was kind of cool about it and they were expecting it, at some point the woman started crying heavily. And she was like something along the lines like, I can't believe this is happening. I guess this is the end, stuff like that. And the doctor was like, what was she saying? The woman was sobbing, literally sobbing. What does it even matter what she's saying? Like, the guy was a bit of a dick. Like, what's she saying? Well, she's saying that she's dying because you gave her the news and her life is over and now she's sad. That's what she's saying. Yeah, you always have to keep a pretty professional tone, which I do 95% of the time. There was this call. You're not allowed to make jokes. You're not allowed to do any of these things. But hey, man, it's a job and I can break the rules if I want to at my own expense, right? As long as I am not unprofessional or I'm not ruining the conversation. And there was this time, this woman who was having her 4th abortion. Yes, I also do quite a lot of calls about abortion. What happens is they have to give them the terms and conditions of the abortion, that it's legally in the UK to have an abortion, but this and that, and what are the consequences, etc. It's pretty standard stuff. And she was joking about the fact that this is not something that I had to interpret back, but one of the questions, the standard questions, was, do you have any allergies at all towards medicamentation, or whatever? Where the speaker was kind of relaxed. There's 3 people: the interpreter, which is in the middle, which is I am, it's the speaker, and the listener. Or the recipient. The recipient is the person you are interpreting for. The speaker is the one giving, making the speech or whatever. And I'm the middle, right? And the speaker was this nice, very relaxed lady and whatnot. And the recipient was the woman trying to get an abortion, and she was kind of cool about it too. And I made a joke, not in English, right? That the speaker was not able to understand, but I was kind of having fun with it. And I said, yeah, I guess do you have any, are you allergic to any medication, this and that? Oh, not that I'm aware of, she said, smiling. And I was like, except men, right? And she started laughing on the call and this and that. It was not professional of me. You're not supposed to do that. But hey, man, sometimes I just have fun with it. At least if I'm feeling like I can do it. But totally don't do it at all. This is just me trying to exit my boredom. The calls do get listened by QA agents, quality agents, but it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen sometimes. And usually there's only one side of the feedback. The feedback being only from the speaker area. Which means that if someone from work and pension or someone from the hospital, a doctor, gives me bad feedback because I didn't do my job or he felt that I wasn't interpreting correctly, then my call would be probably listened and I would get graded on my call and probably I would be flagged or, given some sort of warning. But if the negative feedback sort of comes from the recipient, which is the person I'm interpreting for, they don't really have, at least I don't think so. I was told that they don't have a portal where to give feedback for myself. Only the client, and the client being the NHS, police, etc., those people can leave feedback for me. So as long as I'm doing my job and from the speaker's point of view, I did everything all right, I'm not going to get called for and I'm not going to get negative feedback and stuff like that. You can get positive feedback, and I believe I did get a positive feedback once. At the end of the call, we were vibing, and there was this guy from work and pension department, and he had the most soothing voice a guy could. Like, he had Morgan Freeman type of voice, probably Benedict Cumberbatch type of voice. He had a very soothing voice. And I actually told him, as we were kind of joking, the call was 99% all the way over. And I said, hey man, listen, in about a year that I've been doing this, you probably have the most soothing voice I've ever heard. And the guy really started laughing. And before that, he actually said that he's going to leave a positive review, which was kind of cool, I guess. I don't know how professional that is. Some people give you more slack. Some people are more nice to you. Some people, before the call starts, will probably do a little bit chit chat with you, and they'll be like, hey, how are you today? Are you good? And stuff like that. It depends. Some people are more relaxed. Some people are all about the business, right? A negative feedback that I don't know if I got or not, but I was kind of worried about that. Speaking about, that part that I said at the beginning of the video, this dude, which was a doctor, but I'm not sure if he was a general practitioner or whatever, had absolutely atrocious English. Like, it was the worst English. Oh my God. And he was a doctor, right? And he has some sort of Pakistani accent to himself, but I felt like that guy could have probably leave me a negative feedback. I'm not exactly sure if he did or not. I never heard from him, and it happened recently, actually. It happened last week, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, I couldn't understand what he was saying. You do have technical issues, right? Because they're probably going to put the phone on a table. It's going to be on speaker. And sometimes it's very difficult to hear them or something like that, right? Because everyone's talking in the room or whatnot. But if their English is fine, or if they're natives, you're not going to have any problem understanding a native what he's saying. But this Pakistani doctor dude, like, Jesus Christ. I'm not sure if he was from Pakistan, whatever. He felt like it. I kept saying that, the recipient I was interpreting, and I was saying that he had some sort of food allergy. And the doctor kept, food? And I said, food. What? Food allergy, like for your stomach. He had food allergy, the stomach. And he kept typing something, because the doctors usually type exactly what. And he thought that I said foot. Now, from food to foot, it's a difference, not a big difference, but it is a difference. But I did say stomach. I did say that he had food allergy. He wrote down that he had foot allergy. And after about 10 minutes to 15 minutes, we got back to that part. And he said, well, I'm confused because you said he had an allergy at his foot. No, I said food. And I did mention his stomach, food allergy, not foot. So again, the guy was not understanding me, but I sort of repeated it like 20 times, but I wasn't able to understand him. Like, his English was absolutely atrocious. And he, after about 40 minutes, when I guess the consultation was almost over, but I didn't think that it was over, he basically ended the call. And he was kind of sarcastic, and he was a bit of a dick. And he was like, okay, Daniel, I think we had enough. Basically, the individual, that the recipient, was crying. He started crying. He had a lot of pain. He had pain in his stomach. At some point, they had to give him a pill to calm him down. Yes, people do cry on phones because there's different situations. And he was mumbling. He was crying. He was saying something. He kept repeating the same things that was said. Something about, what's the point? What's the point? Because this individual, this doctor, was not giving the proper feedback. And the patient, which what I was interpreting for, felt that. And he kept crying. He kept saying, like, what's the point? This guy isn't listening to me anyway. But he kept crying, right? And this dude had, like, literally, he didn't really care. The doctor was like, whatever. And he said, what is he saying? What he's saying? What do you think he's saying? And I interpreted it in the way that he believes that this is not going in the right direction, and he believes that this is slightly pointless. And at that point, the doctor, realizing that he probably lost control over the room, and also he was not giving that dude any treatment or whatever. All right, Daniel. Yeah, all right, Daniel. Let's just end. Yeah, it's enough. Yeah, okay. I'm just going to close the call now, and this and that. That dude closed the call on me because I don't know what he was expecting, right? But whatever. You came to United Kingdom, you got your degree, who knows in what sketchy way that you got that degree, and you wanted to become a doctor. Good for you. You're a migrant, you came to United Kingdom, you're living your dream, you're doing university, and now the NHS is hiring you, even though at the interview, before they hire you, they probably realize that you don't speak English. You have no idea how many doctors, nurses, and generally healthcare people work for the NHS in England, in hospitals, at general practitioners, etc., that have very, very low English level speaking, like English skills, whatever. You simply do not understand what those people are saying. I'm talking about people from Africa that barely speak English, but they are doctors. They are doctors. I'm talking about all sorts of nurses or general practitioners, people from India who also speak very limited English. And when they got the job, I'm assuming there was an interview, and whoever gave them the job realize that these people can barely speak English. And they're working for the NHS. The part that kind of frustrates me is that what happened to the native people in England? Is there nobody in England who wants to go to med school? Are there no more native English people who do med school to the point where they're hiring people who are immigrants? Yeah, sure, hire an immigrant if his English is beyond decent. His English, especially because he's a doctor, he needs to be very well articulated in English. You're a doctor. I mean, you're talking to patients, and what you're saying is very important. How did you give them the job If you can tell they're not natives and you can tell they barely speak English. Speaking about tough calls, yes, people will cry on phones. Mothers with single children will cry on calls when their universal credit gets canceled and their landlord is about to kick them out of the house, and they're crying over the phone saying that they need the universal credit, but basically if they didn't provide something over time, now they're shutting down their universal credit, and now the mom's getting kicked out of her home. People will cry on the phone, and sometimes it gets emotional. No, you're not getting bonuses for this. All calls are, different. Some are relaxed, some are not relaxed. You are allowed to say no to a call. Sometimes the police, if it's a bad call, they will say, this is the case. I'm here because of this. This woman got sexually assaulted, this. Are you comfortable to take the call? And I've never refused the call. I've always said yes because I need the money. Also, I can detach myself. Maybe not 100% because I'm human, but I can detach myself. And yeah, I've never refused a call. But even if it's from an abortion clinic, this woman's about to come in, have an abortion. We need to explain to her the terms and conditions. We'll speak about this and that. Are you comfortable taking the call? And I'm like, yes, yeah, let's do it. Sure. I've never turned down a call. I probably had, I don't know, out of the entire calls that I've ever taken as interpreter, maybe 10% were absolutely pretty bad, emotional, impacting calls, and another 10% were 10% were pretty stressful calls, right? Sometimes it's even the other way around. If you're dealing with this scumbag, because you are dealing with scumbags sometimes. There was this police officer lady, and she was kind of getting harassed a little bit by this dude who shoplifted, and they held the guy, and he was asking now for an interpreter. He was asking for his rights. The guy was a bit of an absolute asshole, if because I was able to pick that up from the way he was talking, stuff like that. And he was very rude to that police officer. Sometimes with work and pension department, you go to job centers, and in job centers there are people there searching for work, but some of them are sleazebags. They're not really searching for work. They're just trying to get universal credit for free, and they'll give the speaker, basically the person at the job center, a very difficult time. They'll curse at them. They'll raise their voice at them. They'll be very mean people. And there was this time, again, this woman who was quite nice, and she started getting a little bit frustrating, understanding that the person in front of them, which was that son of a bitch, was a bit yelling at her and cursing her. While she did not understand the curse words, she did understand that that guy was verbally abusing her or being a complete creep. And, well, here's the thing. Never take the tone, right? If someone's yelling at someone, your tone must be calm. If they're saying something bad, again, your tone of delivery always has to be at the same level. And I said to that woman at that point, I'm not going to dirty your ears with whatever he said. And she sort of smiled and thanked me. And because I said at the beginning that you are not a translator, you're an interpreter. We interpret meaning. Sometimes we do have to translate word by word, and sometimes the speaker, if they're reading terms and conditions, will tell us that we have to literally translate word by word. But most of the times, like probably 85% of the time, you interpret meaning. Why didn't you attach to your account your bank statement? And the guy, basically the recipient, will tell me a full story why he didn't attach the bank statement. All sorts of BS, absolutely BS that has nothing to do with the conversation. He just keeps talking. And sometimes, if you're dealing with low IQ individuals, if you're dealing with gypsies, if you're dealing with scumbags, if you're dealing with people that, whatever. And also the speaker understands who they're dealing with, right? And they'll talk for about 2 minutes. I will cut them off. I will cut the recipient off and say, yeah, okay. Let me just get this in. And my interpreting basically in English to the person from the job center would be, he doesn't have the bank statement. And most of the times I will get a positive feedback saying that, yeah, thank you. That's fine. Yeah, thank you. And sometimes I'll get positive feedback saying that, thank you for not, telling me the whole, because I wasn't going to speak for 2 minutes saying word by word every single junk BS that was coming out of that guy's mouth, right? You just have to give the gist of it. You have to tell them the most important part, but you don't have to lose people's time. Right? He doesn't have the bank statement. And you would say something like, basically, he said he doesn't have the bank statement. And the other person would understand, and he will thank you for it and say, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for resuming that, or whatever. These things you pick up at the job. I don't think you're going to be able to pick this up on day one. But as you kind of get the gist of it, you're gonna learn. Yeah. It's not a bad job. It's a pretty decent job. Work from home. It's pretty good. You do your own schedule. I don't do night shifts because I don't think there's that many calls during the night. I never did one single night shift. I always wanted to try a night shift to see exactly what we can get. But I'm lazy and I don't like staying up. And it's not my style. Plus, my time zone with the UK is 2 hour difference, which means I usually start around 10 in the morning. I put myself available at 10 in the morning, and I end the shift around 7 p.m. ish. Depends. But 7 p.m. would be 5 p.m. in UK. And at 5 p.m., I believe that the job centers are closed. A lot of institutions are closed. I take all sorts of calls, even autist calls for children who have autism. I don't think that's how you pronounce that. And basically, a lot of the, institutions kind of close at 5 p.m. ER, which is, emergency room, police, they don't close. That's why I kind of wanted to do a night shift to see exactly what's what, but I've never did it. I'm assuming that you're probably not going to take that many calls. So yeah. In conclusion, this is interpreting. I don't think you can do a long-term career out of interpreting. There are jobs that are very well paid. Well, not very well paid, but they're like super better paid than what I'm doing right now, in which you have to do face-to-face interpreting. But that only happens if you are in UK or if you are in the English-speaking country. You do police work face-to-face interpreting. You do also interpreting at very high level for politicians. At Geneva, for example, they have interpreters in Geneva. Where United Nations is, but I'm only assuming that those are very, very high-ranking interpreting jobs, and I'm guessing it's tough to get those jobs. I don't know. This is very entry-level, extremely entry-level, and most people probably can get into it. Also, this is something that I do, but I don't think that you need to do it, but because I'm with the UK, I do fake a British accent. I don't want to fake it right now, but I do fake a British accent. It doesn't sound too fake considering they realize that they're not speaking with a native on the line. I try to keep a decent accent, a clean accent, a more of a high British accent. I don't particularly like it, but I do get very good feedback. For my English, when I'm making an effort and I'm putting a British accent. It's as if I'm one of them, but they can tell I'm not one of them. Even though some people believed that I was stationed in the United Kingdom. If they do small talk, the speaker will probably ask you, "Oh, are you from Manchester?" Or I'm like, "No, I'm not from." You're not allowed to give details about your personal life or about your whereabouts. It's in the job description. But again, I fake it and I feel like it's more beneficial like that. But you don't have to do it. And, if you're interpreting for Australia, what are you going to do? You're going to put on an Australian accent. Australian accents are very, very difficult. So, yeah, I guess you don't need to put or fake any accent. I do it because I want to. That's just how it is. If you are someone looking for a job, if you are, I don't know, in need of money, maybe some extra money, you can keep two jobs, do interpreting and do a secondary job. I'm lazy, so I only keep this one job. I don't bother with anything else. Yeah, I guess interpreting might be for you. I did try to pick up being an English teacher, entry-level English teacher, but you need certifications to become an English teacher. I forgot the name of the certifications. I'm probably going to put them on the screen here somewhere. But also, my dream was sort of like to become a digital nomad type of guy. Well, not digital nomad, but to be an English teacher, to travel and be an English teacher. But what I was able to find out, because there's a couple of platforms, I'm going to, like Cambly, I believe, I'm going to put the platforms here, that you can do online English teaching. But what I was able to discover is that it's almost impossible to become an English teacher if you're not native, because there's a lot of people signing up and I've never gotten one single call. Like, you do get test calls from people which are not paid, but basically they accept you as their teacher, and they have, for Cambly, I believe they have 2 sessions of, I might be wrong, of basically to be their English teacher, 2 free sessions for which you're not getting paid. I never got not even one single free session. From what I was able to gather is, 1, you need to be native or else no one bothers. I mean, if you're trying to learn English, would you learn English from me or someone who's based in the United States or someone who's based in the United Kingdom? Even though people there are in the United Kingdom are migrants, a lot of them. So you don't know if he's a migrant, if he's native or not. Even though in a drop-down, when you're creating your profile, you need to say if you're native. But in a drop-down, it doesn't say were you born in the United Kingdom. It only says, are you in the United Kingdom now? And if you tick yes, it says that you're native. But whatever, that's Cambly. But I was able to find that if you're not native, nobody wants to learn English from you. Even though I found on YouTube this Russian chick with a pretty bad accent who clearly was not native and she was making a lot of money. But what I also find out is that people click on your profile if you're very good looking. There's a lot of very hot English teachers, very good looking females out there. There's also a bunch of good looking men out there. And those dudes, based on their profile and whatnot, they get a lot of clicks. It's basically like on YouTube, right? So you're not native, you're not good looking. I don't know if people are going to click on you and want to talk to you. You want to talk to a hot Russian chick, even though her English is kind of shit, because you're learning English from this hot Russian chick. You don't want to learn English from me, for example, right? And also having certificates helps. But what I'm trying to say here by me rambling is that interpreting as someone who speaks English was the only job that I was able to get remote work from home. Anything else doesn't really. You can get call center jobs. I used to work for T Public. It was absolutely horrible. It was horrible. It was absolute. I worked for T Public for about 4 months ish, 4-ish. It was disgusting. Yeah, it was disgusting. So I'm absolutely grateful that I'm able to work as an interpreter right now and I was able to find this job. I'm really grateful for this job. I'm really grateful for the opportunity. It's not that hard. It's not that demanding. I mean, even if the calls are with people crying on the phone or whatever, the workload is not that big. And I'm grateful that I'm able to have this job. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it to the end of the video, it's probably going to be a long ass video. I'm trying to edit it out as much as possible, but if you made it all the way to the end, God bless. And I hope that your dreams come true. And if you're searching for an interpreter job, I hope that you will be able to get one. LinkedIn, interpreter, type in, click enter, and then you don't need to apply on LinkedIn. Usually they have websites and you can go to their website. That's how I did it, because I applied on LinkedIn twice. And then I went on the company's website and I applied on the company's website directly. And I got a call back within probably an hour, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not even mistaken. Like, they were so fast. The woman from HR, the Human Resources Department, immediately contacted me, and my resume is kind of shit, actually. Which is why I'm not able to get good jobs. But again, like, don't discourage. If you want to be an interpreter, if you want this job, LinkedIn, but also go to their main web pages and whatnot. I gotta end the video. It's a long one, I know. If you have any questions about interpreting, leave them in the comment section below. I will never answer you.